Welcome. I'm Mindy Kornberg, Vice President for Human Resources, and the whole U falls under my purview. I take full credit for everything. Hopefully some of you have seen some of and been to some of our events before. Here's what I would say to you today. Buckle up, guys, because you are in for an incredible ride. You're about to take a journey with one of the university's closest friends. He is a confidant to many leaders, a mentor to budding entrepreneurs from the Foster School of Business, and an inspiration to endurance athletes of all ages. Today, the whole U is thrilled, I mean thrilled, to welcome Neal Dempsey, UW alum and a founding partner at Bay Partners. I've had the pleasure of meeting and getting to know Neal through the whole U, and it's truly incredible. I mean, when I say buckle up, I mean buckle up. Some of his accomplishments are from his career as a venture capitalist, which has landed him on the prestigious Forbes list, to being one of the UW's most generous alums with buildings bearing his names at the Foster School and UW Athletics, and hopefully many of you participated in the Guinness Book of World Records at the Dempsey Stadium, which was great fun. And here is this is just staggering to me. Anybody who's run 2 miles will think about 26.2 miles. Think about running to Everett, okay? He has run over 100 marathons. He has summited the highest peak of 5 continents. You know, the Ever-Ready Bunny, nothing on Neal Dempsey. It is his tenacity, his fearlessness, and the spirit that makes this man. Listening to Neal talk for 5 minutes is like reading a book. His ability to share his wisdom and his life's lessons with authenticity is captivating and inspirational. So, please join me and welcome this incredible individual and wonderful friend of the university, Neal Dempsey.
I'm overrated, trust me. Nobody is that good. Just another guy here to talk to you. Are you ready to talk about endurance? Yeah. Well, let's go. Let's go for a little ride. So Laura asked me to speak about endurance in all aspects of life. Probably, I think because you can see through I'm an unbelievable, fit and handsome guy. But the bottom line is I'm old as dirt. And just the fact that I'm even here is endurance in itself. Trust me, I am really old, so I have no reason to be here and no reason to be as fit. But I'm also a risk junkie and have done a bunch of stuff that requires all the courage and that I could muster, from climbing the mountains, as Laura said, to sailing around the world in a dinghy with 2 dogs and a compass. Run a few marathons, but most recently I drove a 1,000-mile car race in an antique 1952 Fiat in Italy just a couple of weeks ago. And that turned out to be more dangerous than anything I've ever done in my life, because no power steering, no power brakes, and a car that didn't run very well, and you're running through city streets of Italy, literally little villages, and people are about 1 inch away from you. So I was more worried about hitting them than I was and then my own safety, because it was crazy. So, but the bottom line is it's really not about me and my crazy antics. You don't have to be a risk junkie or a marathoner or some other crazy activities. Your goal doesn't have to be physical. You need endurance to finish a novel. You need endurance to learn how to play the violin. Next phase of your career, or anything new, trying to get a promotion, doing a better job at work, they're all goals that you should set for yourself at one time or another in your lives. Learning anything new takes endurance and a lot of it. And when you fail, and believe me, you will, your endurance will drive you to try again. Anytime you start a new journey, whatever it may be, not necessarily physically, whatever it is, your endurance is what's going to get you through it. And we want to talk about that. The one thing I know about endurance is nothing is ever an easy straight shot to the top. It's peaks and valleys, it's ups and downs, it's lots and lots of disappointment. I mean, I can tell you about my jillion failures in life, and it always takes lots of endurance and energy to get out of that and move forward. There are really 3 phases of endurance. Number 1, desire. You have to have the desire to do something special, to change what you're doing today. That's a necessary ingredient you have to have. If you don't have the desire, then don't even think about changing anything you're doing. It isn't worth it. Second is failure. Yes, it's going to happen. Failure will happen a million times. Get ready for it. You got to plow through it. If you don't plow through it, you're not going to get there. And phase 3 is success. And what's interesting is it may look like what you think it is, like crossing the goal line, but it isn't always that way. There's various forms and types of success. So 3 phases: desire, failure, and success. And we're going to talk about all 3 of those with various examples. So let me just give you a quick one about I'm up here giving this speech, okay? And I have the desire to give a good speech. Because what would I do if I failed? I'm a UW grad. You're my people. I'm your people. I love being here. I really want to do this well. But you're the ultimate judge. And I know there's going to be peaks and valleys in this speech. Ups and downs. And what am I doing here, man? I wasted this last hour. This guy was awful. He was terrible. So I'm fearful that I'm going to fail and not do a good job. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm going to plow right through it. It's either going to like it or not. But at the end, 20 minutes from now, you're going to say, this guy was terrible and don't bring him back. Or maybe he was okay and it's successful. But you're the ultimate judge. But I'm not going to let that get in my way because I'm just going to plow through this baby, period. So I think I might fall on my face, but that would be embarrassing, but it's not going to happen. So let's talk about desire. You want to change. You want to do something. You're ready. You set a goal. You're full of energy. You got a lot of ideas. The first phase is full of lots and lots of thoughts, and you know you're going to kill it and accomplish this goal. You have a vision. You have a roadmap, and you're going to go all out to achieve it. We're going to tell you a little bit how to do that later, but you know you can do this. So my first job was in sales. And I was trained. I knew the product. I knew the industry. I knew the company. I knew the competition. I was ready to kill it. I had all the desire and energy and enthusiasm that anyone could ever have for a first job or any job. And right out of the box, I felt rejection. People didn't want my product. People thought it was too expensive. We already have one. I don't have a budget. I don't think I even like you, matter of fact. Wow. Dejection, rejection, depression. What am I going to do? You've got to plow right through it. You know, if you have enough desire, you can plow through that rejection and dejection. So ultimately, with enough tenacity and endurance, you're going to be able to get through that. So my goal was to get a sale. And I saw my peers being successful. And I was as good as they were, for sure, even though I hadn't sold anything yet. But point was that you just drive through that. And finally, it might have been months, it might have been weeks, it might have been years, I don't even remember, because I'm so old, that I finally got the first sale. And I got the win, I got lucky or whatever it was. But that was just a small part that wasn't really the goal. You don't want to just sit on your laurels when you get a big deal from someone or you accomplish a project and you get approval from your boss to get something, to go ahead and do it with a new budget. You want to take that success, that initial platform, and drive it into something better and make a career out of it. So don't linger on that first success. You got to keep plowing forward. So sales for me, and it really helped me to be able to read people. So I've kind of used that throughout my career. It's really important to understand people you work with, your friends, their motivations, and if you can read the tea leaves of the people you're around all the time, it does really help in whatever walk of life, whatever career you have. So sales for me was, and be able to read people, was really a springboard on what I am today and where I've been today, and I probably wouldn't be here if I hadn't had that first career. Now, I'm not recommending sales for everybody, but it's an important way to be able to read people and to get your goals accomplished in life. So the second phase you go through, as we've talked about, is failure. Failure is going to happen. Failure is a part of every phase. You'll fail in all phases, and you'll win in all phases. Let's talk about when failure happens. Not if, but when it happens. Your desire fades. You've had all this energy and all this plan and all this roadmap, but your desire will fade when you have failure or you have setbacks. You just have to plow through it. You have to make up your mind that you're going to get through this, no matter how difficult it may be. Eventually, it will disappear, and you'll face your biggest challenge. Here's the thing about this phase. You either win and press on and make it, or you'll quit. You'll absolutely quit. That's why people start these fitness programs, especially at the first of the year after Christmas. You'll set this goal to be physically fit. You sign up for a gym, or you get a bunch of friends together. And most people, they make this commitment the first of the year, and it lasts a month, it lasts a week, it lasts 6 weeks, whatever. But by the time February comes around, the weather gets better, you quit. Because you're not committed, you had the desire, but you couldn't drive yourself through failure, for dejection, rejection. Statistically, most people don't make it. That's why it feels so good to drive through failure. Everybody in this room, every soul in this room is going to be able to drive through failure. There's no question about it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here to hear this crazy guy give you a few words. So, let me tell you about rejection at its finest. A group of friends of mine and I decided that we would sail around the world. Yeah, and in full disclosure, we didn't sail in a dinghy with a compass and 2 dogs. It was a fairly sophisticated boat, 51 feet. Now, that is not a very big boat in the open ocean because big blue water sailing is tough and dangerous. So we did it in 3 legs. First leg was Florida to Portugal and to Africa. Stops in the Azores, Bermuda and the Azores. Fabulous. Took us about a month. Several stops. Fairly good weather. Uneventful. Just having a good time. Got through with that first leg in 30 days and said, it's not so bad. It wasn't as dangerous or scary as I thought it would be. We had a few issues, but nothing big. Second leg was from Florida to Sydney, through the canal, Galapagos, Marquesas, Tahiti, Fiji, blah, blah, blah. Got to Sydney, sailed through Sydney. It was like, I live in San Francisco because it was like sailing under the Golden Gate Bridge. Fabulous. We had 25 days at sea and another 2 months when we stopped in all those places. Another somewhat uneventful, 2/3 of this trip was so far one of the best experiences of our lives. Third leg, Perth, Australia to Cape Town. A couple of stops, Rodrigue and Mauritius, and then Cape Town. Hey, we're feeling pretty good about life. had 2 good legs. This is the third leg, and this was the 3rd year. First leg was 1 month, second leg was 4 months, and this is going to probably be 3 more. We sailed the Southern Ocean, Southern Indian Ocean, and it turns out that this is the most dangerous water on the planet. And when you're going this way, you're sailing against the wind pretty much all the time. Right out of Perth, the weather got bad. The weather got so bad that it went for a better part of 22 days. We were like a cork in a bottle, bobbing around. This 51-foot boat felt like a rowboat, up and down and up and down and up and down. We didn't eat, we didn't sleep. We were all buckled in for hours and hours, every day, all day. But not a word was said amongst us. There was a little bit of yelling on occasion when we had to change the course, adjust things. But it was the most scary, life-threatening. We felt this boat was going to snap in half and just leave us. You can't call the U.S. Coast Guard when you're in the middle of the Indian Ocean. Nobody's coming to get you, and we were so dead so fast that it didn't matter. So talk about failure. Talk about scariness. It was just the most incredible thing. The boat, the sails ripped. The lines ripped. The electronics were malfunctioning. We had to go to a hand compass. But nobody screamed at each other. We just knew either we're going to die or we might get through this. We were all good friends, but we weren't very good friends at the time. Because you know what? We all volunteered for this. We didn't have to be there. We have lives outside of sailing, and it was just a petrifying, mind-altering experience that I'll never, ever forget, because I thought I was near the death of all of us, and we're never going to be seen again or found again. But somehow, some way, through all this bad weather and this almost shipwrecked boat or sailboat that we had, we got to Mauritius. We limped into Mauritius and looked at each other and said, you know, we're all still alive. So the goal of getting to Mauritius and getting to Cape Town was not finishing this thing. It was just getting into this where we get on land and have to get this boat repaired so we could finish this trip. But it was really an incredible experience from something to go through about failure and not getting to your goal. It was just beyond belief. So at some point in your journey, you'll need to find yourself in this. You'll find yourself in this place, not quite as dangerous as I just described, but you're going to have parts of your plan that just doesn't go right. You're going to fail one way or another, and you just have to plow through it. Even if you decided that you want to be a runner, or you want to increase your miles, or you want to run a marathon or half marathon or a 10K or whatever it is, and it's a cold Monday night, and you're home from working all day here at the UW, and the kids are in the house and screaming, and you're tired. All you want to do is rest and relax. What you really should do, and you need to do when you've set the right kind of goal, is go in the house, even though it's raining outside, put your stuff on, put something on your head, warm up, and go out and do it, even if it's 20 minutes, even if it's 30 minutes, because once you finish that, you'll know you've made some progress that day against your goal, whatever it is. They talk about writers that are writing a novel and they have writer's block and they can't seem to write the next paragraph or the next page. But what you do is you just go ahead and do it. No matter how bad it is, no matter how horrible the grammar is or the idea, trying to get your novel done, because that'll really help you do the next day. Because the next day is a new day and you'll be much more creative. It's just like running. You might struggle through that one day because you were tired, but if you force yourself to get out there and you have the endurance to do it, it'll help you achieve your goal. So whatever that goal may be, and on your worst day, when you don't want to do it, you'd rather go to bed, you'd rather sleep or watch TV, get out and do it. Because once you finish that little tiny part of the time, you'll feel much better about yourself, and you'll feel much better about your goal, and you know you can get there. You achieve your goal in little incremental steps. It's very, very important to driving through failure. And you got to have the endurance and the mindset to do that. You keep going, and that's the only way you get to phase 3, success. You got to keep going. You can't stop. You can't quit. You can't be, oh, this is too hard. Oh, I don't want to do this. I set the wrong goal. Whatever it is, you just got to plow through it. And don't forget that no matter what that goal is, every day you make some progress against it. So, after all this struggle, after being shipwrecked almost in the Indian Ocean and landing and getting into Mauritius, success didn't look like it did at the beginning. We thought we were going to have a third leg was going to be another beautiful, great sail, uneventful, and it just wasn't. So success, maybe just crossing the finish line. Success maybe just getting us into Mauritius, but we didn't care. We were happy we got there, even though it was very dangerous getting there. So one last really interesting story, probably the best one we have. 2013 was one of those races where some reason this old body felt pretty good, and I was having a good day. It was fun and somewhat relaxing in the sense I knew I was really killing it, and we got to near the end, like 500-600 yards from the finish. I looked at my watch and I said, man, I'm going to get this done. It's going to be a 4-hour and 20-minute race, personal best. I'm a hero. I'm running down Boylston Avenue, which is the main part of Boston. Thousands of fans on each side of the road, fellow runners. This is like heaven. I'm something. I'm going to get this done. And all of a sudden, bang, I see this big explosion. And it's a holiday back there, and it's a Monday. And lots of noise, lots of celebration, lots of activity, so I didn't think much of it. And then bang, again, another explosion. So, okay, but fireworks, somebody went across the finish line that was famous, whatever it was, wasn't sure. But then all of a sudden, the race just stopped. All the runners just backed up. And they started talking. Some of the volunteers and some of the security started yelling for doctors. A lot of doctors run the race, so you knew right away there was some sort of trouble. You really had no idea how much trouble there was at the time. But I'm thinking before we stopped that I'm going to have this great time, and I was, at the first stoppage, I was pissed because why are they going to stop me from making my personal goal? I'm going to make a big record here for myself. Then I realized in a few seconds, my definition of success changed dramatically. Success was about staying safe, out of the way, and helping everybody you could, because there was very serious injuries. Lots of fans were hurt, 3 were killed, runners were maimed, and it was just a horrible, horrible tragedy that none of us really realized until the race was stopped and we kind of walked around and understood what the tragedy was. How in America, at a race like this, in a tradition like this, would there be some sort of terrorist activity or whatever it was? We didn't really know, but it was just an incredible, mind-boggling experience. So in contrast, I went to this year's race. This year, they had about twice as many runners as normal, and it was a massive, massive celebration for Boston renewed, Boston proud. Boston was back. The region, the country, the people, everybody were there. So when we ran that race, for the first time in history, there was people on each side of the road all the way 26 miles, and it was energetic. You know, it just shows you the resilience of the American people and the resilience of the community and the resilience of the runners are all back. A lot of runners that were in last year's race that were hurt were back, they rehabbed. And it just shows you the endurance that everyone had, the city had, the region had, the state had, and its runners. And it just was an incredibly emotional, you know, 911 kind of renewal to America and the strength of the region, the strength of the American people, and what happened. So nobody cared about finishing the race. Nobody cared about this big goal of having another marathon under your belt. What really cared about was the community was back, and people a lot of people were not injured anymore, and we had a totally clean, fabulous race and a big celebration during the weekend. I mean, as a matter of fact, for the first time in 25 years or 30 years, an American won the race, and at a very slow time, too, in comparison to the world record, which is Boston is normally a world record type of race. You know, a little side note: the Boston Red Sox, a big team in Boston, won the World Series last fall, and got to be something there that this community came back. And I went to that game on Saturday, and they won, and a big celebration for all the people that were there that were hurt that came back on the field. So it was an incredible experience, to say the least. So desire will invigorate you through the beginning, even when the journey seems in doubt. Failure and setbacks are part of the journey. Embrace it and keep going. And the finish line is always moving, and here's the most important thing. The journey never ends. Success is getting out and trying. Success is picking yourself up. Get out there when you don't feel like doing it. Whatever your goal is, writing a novel, playing the violin, whatever it is, do it when you don't feel like doing it. That'll get you through any kind of time where you don't want to feel it, don't feel like doing it, don't feel like your goal is eluding you. Success is success is really just participating in the journey. Go for it. Go have fun and do something scary. Ride a bike, take a walk, take a hike, write a book. Whatever excites you, do it. Make a commitment today to start a new journey. As soon as you leave this room, as soon as you leave this building, I want you to have a goal, a new goal set for yourself, whatever it is. Matter of fact, we're not going to let you out the door unless we hear what that new journey and that new goal is, or you're some way on your way to one that's really been already special. So every time you walk by the hub, every time that you come into this room or room close by, you'll think about the goal you set for yourself and how well you're doing. You're past the desire. You have this. You're in the endurance phase. Finish lines are different. Success is different, but you'll have it. Just plow through it. One day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time. Because it's easy, if you think about that, no matter how hard something is or how difficult it's been, and the finish line is always moving. So you're never done. You're never finished. It's always another thing to do, another milestone to make. But every one is important. Every one is fun, and healthy lifestyle, health in general, is a lifetime commitment. It never changes. So being fit, doing what you want to do, doing it successfully, having lots of endurance to do it, having the desire will bring you success. Success comes in a million flavors. But what's important is that you have all those ingredients already. Just go do it. Have fun. Go for it. So, okay, so that's it. What I want to talk to you about then is any... So, the most fun about any of these kinds of remarks and talking to people is questions, Q&A, this and that. That's really what I want to focus on. Yeah?
How many people were with you on the sailboat trip?
5. And it was a crowded 5. When you do a sailboat, somebody always is at the helm. And you're always buckled in because you can get washed overboard really easily because you're always on a slant. So daytime, there's people in the cockpit, but at nighttime, it's just you and the instruments. And you have to be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because you're in the shipping lanes. There's big freighters on each side of you. You got to be within 4 or 5 miles of them. They can't see you. They run right over you. They wouldn't care anyway because it's just a little boat. That part's pretty scary. Weather's scary. For the most part, though, there's great parts of it. You get to fish for dinner, you know, beautiful sunshine, middle of nowhere, 7 knots an hour, so it takes forever to go anywhere. But, you know, it's really, when the weather's good and you're loving life, it's great. When the weather's bad, and the weather's bad a lot, really bad, as I described, it's not much fun. But don't do it. It's just too damn dangerous. And it's just too crazy, because this boat was very good, and that's why it stayed together, but lots of boats won't. But, you know, one little thing. You go into a place like the Azores, little island, about 8 days sail off of Portugal. And it's pretty much a sailing capital kind of place. And you go in there, and there's all these boats, big boats, small boats, little tiny 20-footers. And the big thing in the Azores is once you get off that boat, you've been at sea for 10, 12, 14 days, and you can't walk because you're used to this, and the land is solid. You go to the no-name bar, 'cause that's where you want to go right away, and you go in there, and it's a smoke-filled din because all these Europeans and other parts smoking like crazy, and about 19 languages spoke, and I ran into a UW grad pal of mine, yeah. And he was over here with his girlfriend, and he said, "Demps, what are you doing here?" I said, "Duncan, I hadn't seen the guy in 35 years. Wow. And he was sailing. He's always been a crazy guy. He was sailing a 20-foot boat, he and his girlfriend. I mean, that's really crazy. Ours is big compared to that. So that's the kind of experiences you have when you go into these places. And we stopped, you know, 50, 60 times just to enjoy where we were. So, yeah, that part was good. Yeah, go ahead.
I had a question.
Sure.
What are your goals now? It sounds like you've accomplished a lot and some really impressive things. What are you looking forward to now?
Well, I want to become a better public speaker, for sure. I mean, I was pretty marginal today. You know, I guess I was nervous, but, well, the goals are multiple. I mean, I was the Frisky chair last year here at the business school, and that took a lot of time and energy, and was in the classroom and put on seminars and did a lot of things, and that's over. So there's a multi goals. Keep running, keep fit, but there's the next mountain to climb. There's the next book to read. There's the next violin to play. There's you know, a multitude of stuff. I got to walk out of the building and actually set it, which I will. But yeah, there's so many things you can do it's just endless. You got to read more books. You know, got to run more company. You know, we're investors in early stage companies, so we want to find technologies that are going to change the world. And that's hard to do, but that's what we do for a living. You know, but never lose sight of having fun. Never lose sight of not just getting ground down on your job or ground down on something negative, but every day is a new day. My glass is always half full. It's not half empty, period. No matter how bad it is. I hate Mondays, but Tuesday will be here soon. So, I mean, you go through life with a positive attitude one way or another. No matter how irritating somebody at work might be, or how irritating your happen this day or that day or tomorrow, don't worry about it. Just move on. Drive through that failure part. It isn't failure, it's just a setback, a quick setback. Go do something that you wouldn't do. Do something scary. Do something beyond what you think is beyond your capability, because you can succeed by doing that. Always do stuff. Nobody in the right mind should sail around the world. You do something scary, period. Don't worry about failure. It's not failure. It's just a little short setback. It's really good to have that kind of positive attitude no matter what it is. Negative people just don't have much fun. Why not have a lot of fun and do what you have to do? Have fun, have a good life. You'll be healthy, your mind will be clear, even though it's hard. Yeah, you got to go home and the kids are not happy, your boyfriend or husband are not happy, or whatever it is. Just, hey, stop. Life isn't bad. We're living in Seattle. It's a great place. Working at the UW. It's a great place to work. Having fun every day. Maybe a bad day here and there, but not very often.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In your professional life,
Yeah.
do you have a mentor or coach that inspires you? And if so, who are they?
Well, that's a great question, matter of fact. Well, when I was a student here, 250 years ago, there were several professors that were really had a lot to do with who I am today. I had a communications professor who kind of taught me how to do stuff on my feet and be vocal and say things in classroom. I had a management professor that talked about how important sales was to the process of building a business. I had a finance guy that was the hardest SOB I ever met in my life, and I still have nightmares about flunking this class on my spring quarter of my senior year. And I finally called him because I thought I did, and he said, "No, you made it, you dummy, but you made it." So that was part of it. Then I worked for a fabulous guy. He was a U.S. Naval Academy grad, fighter pilot, kind of a crazy risk junkie like yours truly. And he said, "Neal, let me tell you how to manage." Okay, Hal, how do you manage? Well, come into my office. So what I noticed on his desk was 5 piles of paper. Now this was, if you can believe this is before email. So most of you have never seen anything before email. But so it was just stacks of paper, memos, inter-office stuff, letters from customers, whatever it was. It didn't matter. So we'd have a staff meeting. I was the head of sales in his big staff, about 8 people in his staff, in his office, big office. And so every Monday morning, he'd take the pile on the far right, put a chunk into the wastebasket. Pile 2, that was Friday's, that was previous Monday's pile, because by then he had Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. Boom goes in Mondays, boom goes in Tuesdays, boom goes in Wednesdays, boom goes in Thursdays, and he'd keep Friday. I say, "Well, what are you doing? Isn't there action in all those piles?" He says, "No. What's really important, they would have called me, come to see me, screamed at me, or something. They wouldn't just put a big writing in a big pile where I wasn't going to read it anyway. What's important is today, getting things done today, and don't get involved in all the stuff that people are just staff work. Staff work is not important. What's really important is getting stuff done and making your objectives." That's right. So it's the same thing today. You get 100 emails. I get 100 a day, 200 a day. There's about 10 that matter. I look at them quickly and say, "I'm going to take those 10 and do something about it." The other 190, maybe I'll do something with them later if they have some relevance to my task. Otherwise, and that's after a giant spam filter that would choke 10 elephants. Hundreds, everybody wants a piece of, not me, but my firm, because we have money. They think we're just going to dole it out. So that guy taught me a whole lot about managing people and managing opportunities. So just get the clutter out of your brain. That's the main thing. Just get it out of your brain. Doesn't matter. You get a lot of people who write emails, and this reply all thing drives me crazy. It doesn't matter. I don't want to know about showing off. The person's showing off. Somebody asked a question, and they copy the whole chain. They're just showing off. Smartest person in the room. No, smartest person in the room is the other irritating thing. I sit on a lot of boards with really smart people. The technology investors are pretty smart people. They all have some expertise. Some on the business side, some on the sales side, some on the product side, some on the technology side. And you try to get a board that's got that kind of a mix. And then you bring in a new board member. Add more expertise to the board you need at the time. The company's growing and need some maybe industry expertise. And inevitably, that person will try to be the smartest person in the room. Because they're new, they want to show off, they want to give us an indication how good they are. And one of us recruited that person, more than likely me. So I have to take that person out, take them to the woodshed, and say, listen, you got a lot of smart people on this board. Maybe not me, but the rest of them. They know a lot of things. They've been involved in this investment since day one. So might be a good idea if you listened and kind of figured out the lay of the land here. And when you make a comment or you make a suggestion, think about it. Because it's probably already been said, and you'll also learn things by being around this group for a couple of meetings. Know how the dynamics are. Because trust me, none of us are stupid. And we brought you on this board to add certain expertise. But first find out what the problems are, if there are any, before you just mouth off about something that we already know about. And that happens every time. Now, you don't do it in a negative way. You just say, hey, what do you think? This is this, and let me put you in this place. And the board members always end up being great people. It's just they got to learn they don't need to be the smartest person in the room initially, because there's already a bunch of that there. But it's just a people dynamic thing that's human nature. I'd probably be the same way if I was new. Yeah.
So I was talking to somebody at work before coming here,
Sure.
and he said, I'm interested in the idea of endurance. It seems
Yeah.
like something you have to live through.
Mm-hmm.
How is it different, the word endurance, and meaning for you from the word determination? Is there a difference to you?
Well, yeah, determination is part of the desire, in my view. I mean, I think if you desire to want to do something, you're determined to want to do it. But that's a far cry from actually getting out and doing it when you don't want to do it. People, we're all lazy, let's face it. We are all lazy. I'm as lazy as anybody in this room. I really am. I would sometimes do nothing just to say, I've had enough of this shit. So then you got to get Monday afternoon or Monday night it's raining, or you got to go to the gym, or you got to meet somebody and you got to run with them, or you got whatever it is. You got to go to violin practice. Doesn't matter. You don't feel like it. Mondays are bad days, right? That's the best day to go do what you're going to do. So in my case, determination is a desire part, and endurance is a whole different deal. Because endurance is all about failure and driving through failure. And success has 1,000 fathers. It's got various levels of happiness.
Neal, how did you build a coalition of support for your risky behaviors or adventures, I should say? Because I think about families that maybe don't support somebody who's taking those risks.
Hey, that's a great question, because my wife and kids didn't like any of it. Still don't. And now it's just they got to put up with it. He's too old and tired, it doesn't matter. But I think that the initial really risky stuff was climbing, Mount McKinley, and climbing these where you die. You literally die quickly. And we saw death on every one of those climbs, not ours, but others. So, you just don't look down when you climb a mountain. You never look down. And you just plow forward. And when you're there in the heat of the battle, you just get it done. You just be careful. I mean, climbing mountains is a special skill. I got a lot of that at Rainier, and I did Rainier 4 or 5 times, and snow and ice, glaciers, and all that stuff. And every step matters. And the worst part of climbing mountains is going back. Once you get to the top, you feel elated. You feel, wow, I did it. But you got to think about going back, because if you slip. So we always worried about going back, and we always had the same guides. And we listened to what the guides had to say, or they wouldn't have been there, and vice versa. So the risk-taking was, family didn't like it. I told them it was going to be okay. It was, but so every time and then we did the first leg of the sailboat ride, great. And so is that enough? Why are you going to do the world? Isn't that enough? No, we're going to do phase 2. Isn't that enough? It was fine. Phase 3, bad. So no answer. Not fun. Probably much more to my wife and family than me. And it's just who I am, unfortunately. Not fun. They're kind of used to it now, and Dad's off in some other wild thing. It's like this car race. I mean, that was very dangerous, and old car, no brakes, no steering. It didn't work very well. Crowds close to you. So a couple of my good pals here at the UW think, well, this guy's nuts, number one. But two, he's going to die jumping out of an airplane or skydiving or some bizarre event, and they're going to say, yeah, he lived a full life. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but it's a good friend of mine thinks that. Anyway, so there's no answer. It's a great question, and if I was my wife, I would ask that every day, basically. But I'll have a few more as we walk out the door.
Okay, so when you talk about embracing failure, as part of the momentum, kind of, am I hearing from you that you, in this embracing of failure, alter your direction and goal?
Oh well.
Do you let that inform?
Yeah, I mean, look at
what your goal is.
Absolutely. Well, what you do is you want to make some progress, but the progress may not be the ultimate home run or the ultimate 4-hour marathon or whatever it is, but you feel good about the progress that you make. So you alter the goal you're setting for yourself based on any number of factors. As long as you feel mentally, physically that you're improving. It isn't like if you don't finish the goal, you don't finish the novel, you don't finish being a great violinist, the world ends. You just modify your thinking about how you're going to do that, because you may jump off and do something different. But it isn't always about finish line. It's about incremental steps to getting there. And if I run a 4:50 marathon, doesn't matter. I'm happy. I got it done this time. Or I don't finish, doesn't matter. I can do it next year. I mean, mountain climbing. We had to go back to McKinley twice because we got sick or had some fear of the weather or whatever it was, and we did Aconcagua in the Andes, and it was the same thing. We went back twice. We never took a risk beyond our capability where we had an opportunity. Maybe had a chance to actually die by doing the wrong thing. So but the finish line was just getting out of there and coming back next year or whenever we came back. So you kind of modify it as you go. As long as you're plowing forward, as long as you mentally feel like and physically feel like that you're doing what you wanted to do. But don't get hung up on oh boy, I didn't actually become a great violin player. I didn't become a good bicycle rider or whatever it is. As I said, it's not necessarily about physical stuff. It's about everything you do. Maybe you don't need to eat that donut in the morning, It might be hard not to do that, but you might want to not do that. And you feel good about that, right? So did I help you at all? I mean, it's a complicated question. Yeah?
Thank you, sir, for being here.
Oh, yeah. Don't call me sir, please.
Oh.
I know I'm old.
It's about respect. I'm wondering if you could help me understand how to plan my trajectory of legacy and stewardship. At 45, I know I've got another 20, 30 years to go, and
more
I'm
than
ready.
That. Trust me, you got more than that.
But
you got 90, 45 more.
Sometimes it feels daunting to think I'm working in a legacy and stewardship, but I feel pride for being an alumni and being a part of the community, and that's part of my motivation every day is feeling that sense of community.
What do you do here?
I support academic surgeons of cancer, and I'm also a professional musician, photographer, and artist, and I do ecological restoration work of the Duwamish River.
You do lots of things. Those are great.
Don't feel like I'm
by
doing
itself,
enough.
That's a great legacy by itself. What are you trying to do? Kill yourself? That's that. You work for the med school or
well,
the
I think
hospital?
it's about. I think the answers and the question I'm asking. There's always an answer in every question.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the answer I'm giving is maybe balance and planning endurance. So I was a 2-mile runner. I wasn't a marathoner.
That's fine.
And I just want to make sure that I'm energetically approaching my life without burning out.
Yeah.
Because I know we got a lot of work to do.
Well, yeah, I think that you're not. You're obviously enthused about all the things you do. And they're all interesting to you. I mean, if they don't, then you shouldn't be so active in doing one or the other. But I mean, your legacy by itself is got two sides. You got this fabulous job you have, and then there's all these other outside interests. And that's really balanced. I mean, art and music versus the technology, cancer stuff, that's great. So you can, my problem is that sometimes I take on too much. And like this Fritzke chair was an all-encompassing full-time job almost. And you guys know that volunteers to the university, they will drain you if you allow them to. Any dean, any faculty member, my good friend Jim Jimbaugh, the head of the business school, he will drain every ounce of energy out of me if he can. And I keep asking for more, and he knows that I'll keep going. But I had the Fritzke chair. I had a full-time day job that's 24/7. I had to run a couple marathons. I had to talk to business school last night. I'm in a classroom here in Seattle. I'm traveling all over the world for investment purposes. I'm on 9 board seats. I'm running a $500 million business with all my partners. I mean, huh? So you got to prioritize, and you got to put the piles on the floor that are in the basket that don't matter, and you look at the top 10 things you got to do every day, every week, and I'll go back and look. What I do though, I will say, is on Saturdays I don't do anything on Saturday other than something physical or something relaxing. I love the Wall Street Journal Saturday, so I'll go out and run 5 or 10 miles at a leisurely pace, come back and say, Saturday's over. I mean, not over, but starting. I'll read the journal, then I'll go look at my emails, the ones that I rejected, and I'll look at it again. I'll say, okay, I better answer about 10 more of those puppies, because I'm relaxed by then. I'm not pissed about these. Thursday afternoon, I'm pissed because I don't want to look at any more of this crap, because most of it's crap. But Saturday, I'm a little more mellow. Plus, I just ran. I'm relaxed. And I'll look at it and I'll say, Jane, who's here with me and lived through all these speeches, it works for Bay on public relations side, and she's spectacular. And I get stuff for her, and I do have to answer it. I know that. So I do. Yeah.
We have time for one more question.
Oh yeah, well, 30 minutes.
Hi, I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Let me ask you a question. There was the desire, there was the giant failures in this presentation, and there's success. What happened? It wasn't very good, was it?
What do you think?
C minus.
See, you're hard on yourself. So that brings me to when I was really glad to hear just now when you said Saturdays you're like recharge day.
Yeah, exactly.
So there are times in our lives when and I'm one of those people that has a lot of things going on outside, but sometimes your body says, you got a cold, or something knocks you flat out. And I've come to actually cherish those times sometimes because it stops me and makes me rest.
Really? When you get a cold or
when I'm in the middle of it, of course I get like.
No, you have a cold right now?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. And but my question for you is when I'm sure at some point in your life you've had some physical illness like bad cold, fever, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
And what do you do?
Well, I mean, there's a point where you can't keep pushing because it'll get more serious. And if you got a bad cold or the flu or you're getting some sort of a upper respiratory infection or whatever it is, you just got to stop. You just got to get some sleep. Now you can't get too much sleep, and you can push through a common cold as long as you don't get your fellow workers sick or your family. But it's a fine line. I mean, because you got stuff scheduled and you know the priority of, a lot of high priority stuff, and you just got to plow through it. I mean, Jane's seen me sick. Jane's been sick, and we just plow through it. I mean, it happens. It really does. But you don't want to do it regularly, and if you got to give a speech to this fabulous group, and I got a semi-cold, there's no excuse. I got to be here. What are they going to do on the last minute cancel? It can't happen. It cannot happen. But sometimes you just race to get to Friday, and then on Saturday and Sunday you do nothing except get over it. But I wouldn't go out and run. I wouldn't even like to journal because I'm sick and tired. But so. Fine line, but don't risk your health for anything you have to, because you got this goal that you set at the hub and you can't miss. That's crazy. So a bit of common sense, which I have none, by the way. But you do. Clearly you do. That's good.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I hope everybody was inspired today.